My name's Thomas Mesaglio. I'm a researcher from UNSW at the Center for Ecosystem Science. Most of my current research focuses on citizen science and specifically how we can improve citizen science data for the future, and also how we can use existing citizen science data for areas such as the recovery of ecosystems after bushfires, or how identifiable different groups of organisms are from photos. And then kind of as my little side interest over my entire life, I've been an extremely passionate beachcomber and spent literally thousands of hours beachcombing both around Sydney and just south of Port Macquarie in a little town called North Haven. So seashells are a big passion of mine, and I recently wrote a comprehensive seashell field guide to every single seashell species found on North Haven Beach. Now at last, we come to little Obelia. She is very important, so listen carefully while I tell you about her. When she was a wee speck of a baby, she lay asleep in a pearl at the bottom of the sea. All round her grew beautiful Obelia seaweeds. That is why they called her Obelia. And thousands of rainbow-colored fish guarded her night and day. There, she lay for years and years, and while she slept, a wonderful wisdom grew in her, though her little body remained the same. I can't tell you why or how, but it was so. At last, one day, the pearl burst open and spread out into a beautiful white flower. And that, you remember, was when Ragged Blossom and Snugglepot found her. From that time on, Obelia grew very quickly. And now, as you see in the picture, she is as big as Ragged Blossom. And she was much wiser. So wise, indeed, that not only Anne Chovy, but John Dory and all the cleverest fish folk for miles round came to ask her advice on matters of great importance. So when they came home from the hospital and Ragged Blossom told Obelia of the bad Banksia men, she went quietly to her thinking room and counted her pearls. She always did this when she was troubled about anything. She had hundreds of pearls, some big enough to build a house with, and some so little that they were nearly out of sight. When Obelia had counted her pearls, she went to Anne and said, "Come with me to the flower stall, man. He has something to tell you." So they went. Ragged Blossom and Obelia hovered about, loving the beautiful flowers and putting their faces into them. For sea flowers are like land flowers. The closer you look into them, the more beautiful they seem. Meanwhile, Anne bought a lovely red bunch, and while she was paying him, the old flower seller leant close and whispered in her ear, "There is danger following you." "How?" asked Anne eagerly. "The little one called Ragged Blossom," whispered the old man. "The shadows are about her." "Oh, tell me, what is it?" Anne begged. "It is the evil one, the great giant octopus. He sends his shadows out to catch her." "Shadows?" asked Anne, trembling. "Black shadows with shaggy heads and many eyes," answered the old man. At this terrible news, Anne grew so afraid that she called quickly to Ragged Blossom and Obelia, and, thanking the old flower man for his kindness, she took their hands and hurried home. Then Anne told them what she had heard. "Don't be afraid, little jellyfish," said Obelia, kissing Ragged Blossom and clasping her tightly. "I will take care of you." Then, without another word, she went to her thinking room. Again, she counted her pearls, and when she had counted the last littlest one, she came back to Anne. "Dear Anne," she said, "go back to the hospital and bring away the little pink boy." "Oh no," cried Ragged Blossom. "The Banksia man is there. Don't go." "Yes, I will go," said Anne. Ragged Blossom rushed out to the stables. She threw her arms about the neck of her favorite dragon and whispered, Bring Anne safely back from the hospital. Go quickly and come swiftly. Then she went to the old coachman and begged him to take care of Anne. Then she found John Dory and pleaded with him to go to the hospital also. Although he was very busy polishing his scales, John patted her kindly and said he would go. Long and anxiously, little Obelia and Ragged Blossom waited at the garden gates, and at last they saw the carriage coming in the distance. The lovely dragons came swim-loping home, and there, sitting between John and Anne, smiling and chatting, sat little Cuddle Pie. It was a wonderful surprise. Ragged Blossom and Cuddle Pie were so happy, and everyone was so glad because they were so happy, that all thought of the Banksia men and their evil shadows vanished away. So Cuddle Pie came to live with John Dory and his kind wife Anne, and learned to play trammel-net and ride the dragons and eat sea cucumbers. And most of all, he learned to love Ragged Blossom's little pet fish, Frilly.